What if I told you that for decades, astronauts didn't just take science equipment into space, they also brought guns? Now, before your mind jumps to aliens or space wars, the real reason is far more terrifying and completely true. Picture this. It's the height of the Cold War. Soviet cosmonauts are secretly equipped with firearms for every mission. There were no press conferences, no Hollywood movies about it. It was a quiet, standard procedure buried deep within their survival protocols. But why? Why on earth would you need a gun after surviving the vacuum of space and the fiery re-entry through our atmosphere? The answer lies not in what happens up there, but what happens when they come back down. In the early days of space exploration, precision landings were a luxury they didn't have. These pioneers weren't touching down on a neat runway with a welcoming committee. More often than not, their capsules would crash land in the most remote and hostile environments, imaginable dense forests, frozen tundras, or desolate wilderness, sometimes hundreds of kilometers off course. That's when the real survival mission began. A chilling incident in 1965 perfectly illustrates this danger. Cosmonauts Alexei Leonov, the first human to walk in space, and Pavel Belyaev landed their Voskhod 2 capsule deep inside the Siberian taiga, a vast, unforgiving forest. They were completely isolated. Temperatures plunged well below freezing, and they were stranded for 2 whole days before a rescue team could even reach them on skis. During those long, terrifying nights, they were not alone. They could hear the unmistakable sounds of wolves and bears, drawn by the scent of humans circling their small capsule. They had nothing but a small pistol to defend themselves. They were 2 of the most celebrated men on the planet, yet they were just moments away from being prey. After this harrowing experience, the Soviet space program knew they had to make a change. They couldn't risk losing their national heroes to the wilderness. So they developed a specialized weapon designed for exactly this scenario, the TP-82 survival pistol. This wasn't your average firearm. It was a triple-barreled beast. The top 2 barrels were for shotgun shells, perfect for hunting small game or for fending off larger predators. The bottom barrel fired standard rifle bullets for more serious threats. And as if that wasn't enough, it could also fire flares to signal for rescue. The detachable stock was ingeniously designed to double as a sharp machete, essential for cutting firewood or building a shelter. This gun was a complete survival kit in one package. Cosmonauts were trained extensively on how to use it, not for combat in space, but for survival on Earth. They learned to hunt, to build fires, and to protect themselves in the wild. This practice continued for years, well into the 1980s and even into the early days of the International Space Station Partnership. It's a shocking realization. The biggest threat to these explorers wasn't a catastrophic failure in orbit or a collision with an asteroid. It was the planet they called home. The danger wasn't in leaving Earth. It was in returning to it unprepared. So the next time you look up at the stars and imagine the perils of space travel, remember the story of the cosmonaut's gun. Remember that sometimes the most dangerous part of the journey is the final step back home. The moment their capsule doors opened, they weren't just astronauts anymore. They were survivors, potentially facing a new struggle in the untamed wilderness of Earth. What do you think? Would you feel safer having a tool like that after landing in the middle of nowhere? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe for more unbelievable truths from history.